runners are showing today, so I'm kind of expecting them to walk in. My name's Tammy McLeod, and I am a ridiculously passionate person about quarter horses, the third generation. My grandfather showed and bred quarter horses in the late 40s. And next year will be my 30th breeding season, so that's where my passion lies. Been raising Penny's horses pretty much all this time, and quarter horses, but that's what brings me here. So thank you all for coming, and thank the Ohio Quarter Horse Association for providing us with this facility. First thing I want to do is introduce Patty Carter, AQHA Senior Director of Judges.
Good to be here. Thanks for being here.
And also Justin Billings, AQHA Manager for Shows.
Good morning.
So we actually have people
He's my neighbor.
here to ask the questions that we're going to have. Okay. So the thing about this project is that we need to take the lead on this, okay? Because we can't ask AQHA to do it for us. We're going to have to work in the trenches, and we're going to have to make this happen remotely because it's something that we need to start from the ground up, okay? And I'm going to give you a little bit of history, and then Justin also has a little bit of history. This project started about 10 years ago with the Hunt Field Derby. A group of people, including Laney DeBoer, David Warner, David Connors, Clay Farrell, David Miller, put together the Hunt Field Derby, and it's been successful in an effort to take the hunters to another level. And so we are going to try to take it even farther with this project. Some of the people that I've worked with: Lynn Palm, Nancy Slorm, Lynn Long, Carol Harris, she was at our meeting, that was very interesting, Donna Shirey, Mark Llewellyn, and myself. And with that, Justin, you can give us a little background from AQHA, if you would, on how this process took place.
Yes, ma'am. To give you some backstory on the English special event process, it had been submitted at the convention through a member rule change proposal, so it came from members just like you all. It went through convention and been discussed by the show committee, specifically the English subcommittee, and it originally had passed, and then it met some, there was some pushback from the show council itself. So to back up, the way the process goes is you start with a rule change proposal as a member, that goes to convention, it's considered by the appropriate committee. In this case, it'd be show committee, English subcommittee. Once that is passed, it would then go on to the membership for general vote, the board of directors, show council, executive committee, and then it ends up in this rule book. So that's the process, start to finish, on how anything in this rule book gets adopted. I mean, it all starts at the membership level. So then it went through show committee, it passed. It did meet some pushback within the show council initially. And some of that pushback came from concern on would an English special event outside of the standard special event parameters harm current AQHA circuits. So for example, like the Red Bud or the Big A or some of those circuits, any number of circuits that offer hunter classes, would an avenue outside of those current circuits pull away from that? So they, the show council had some questions and decided, hey, we don't need to approve this English special event at this time. There needs to be some more consideration. So kudos to the committee, the English subcommittee in particular, for sticking with it. Because sometimes rules will come through and they don't always pass the first go around. So the English subcommittee took that feedback and they worked, came back with stats. They spoke to the show council. Hey, what are your concerns? Spoke to the executive committee. How can we make this work? And one of the important facts that the subcommittee gathered was that within USEF, they have over 4,000 horses identified as quarter horses. So there's a whole new market out there that this could potentially reach. So maybe instead of looking at it as taking away from those existing circuits, this could be an add to. So they did a great job. Kudos to the committee for their work. And David Miller was the chair and still is the chair, and for gathering facts and working with the show council to address their concerns. So they represented it this past year with those facts behind it and said, hey, we don't want to replace current hunter events. We want to add to and potentially generate new members, got memberships up there, new transfers, just bring them into the AQHA fold instead of replacing our current events. So the thought being is a couple of the largest barriers to hunter events are, of course, the fences themselves, course designers, setup, finding somewhere to practice, all those challenges that show management sees. So the thought process is, well, they already have those at some of these hunter events. So that they already have the course, they already have the course designer, everything that a typical circuit struggles with when offering the hunter classes. So they said, well, why don't we potentially go to them where they have the fences, where they have the quarter horses. They're just not AQHA members yet. They don't have an AQHA judge, but those are things that we can fix. So the committee presented it in that light. It went through committee, it passed membership, passed board of directors, passed show council, and passed executive committee. So it's now officially allowed as an AQHA event. And just take a step back. Prior to that, special events were approved as 2 class types. So you could have, some of our more popular special events have been, say, a barrel and pole special event, or a working hunter echo over fences special event, or roping. Those are very popular as well.
What?
But the committee said, hey, we need more leeway on the English special event. We want to offer more than just the 2 class types. We want to offer 3 categories. So the categories, if you'd like to reference, are in the back of your rule book. There's some rule books up there. But just to give you a short overview of the categories, they're on page 284. But what this would allow, it gives categories 4, 5, and 7. And what that means, essentially means, is that you could offer a hunter under saddle, working hunter under saddle as your category 4. There's one category. So category 5, that is category 5. Category 4 would be your working hunter and hunter hat. There's your second category. Then category 7 would be, say, your echo over fences or echo on the flat. So now you have the opportunity for classes from 3 categories, whereas before you only had 2. So essentially what that means is you could do working hunter under saddle, you could do working hunter and hunter hat, and you could do echo over and echo on the flat, all within the parameters of a special event, which means you're no longer required to have a full-blown show bill. Halter classes, for example, classes that may not fit in a hunter type environment or may not be as popular. The special event format allows you just to offer those classes, the working hunters, hunter under saddles, that fit in that environment. So it's a way to tailor an AQHA event to individuals that are already there competing on quarter horses, get AQHA approval, have an AQHA judge, AQHA achievements, ROMs, superiors, which increase the value of the horse, qualify for the world show, earn everything that the AQHA ecosystem entails. You have the potential at these events seek AQHA approval to earn those accolades there, where the jumping is happening, where the course is set up, where they have specialized footing. So I think it's key. A few key points I'd like to make is kudos to the committee for sticking with it and not taking no the first time.
Yay.
Absolutely. A lot of the times that's how rules get passed. They get no the first time, but if you can readjust and offer a little compromise, one of the compromises being is they said it would have to be approved by the affiliate. So the affiliate, if you're looking to hold an event here in Ohio, you would submit your application to AQHA, and AQHA would reach out to the affiliate, Ohio Quarter Horse, in the case here, and say, hey, we have a group that's seeking AQHA English special event approval on this date in this location. Please give us your feedback. So the affiliate does have to provide their blessing in order for the event to occur. And the reason for that is the affiliate is on the local level. So better than, say, Amarillo would know in Texas, the affiliate is supposed to intimately know what's going on within their state. So Ohio Quarter Horse should know what's happening here in Ohio. Does it fit well at these dates, this location? Any other affiliate, Virginia, it doesn't matter what the affiliate is, but they have the intimate details of what's going on in their state. And that's why the committee said, look, let's add that in as a parameter. The affiliate should have to give their blessing. So that is part of the English special event process. And the other compromise, which helped get it through, is that it's a 3-year period, and it's subject to annual review by the executive committee. So the whole point of this program is to increase participation. So if it does that, and the numbers will tell the story, then the executive committee would clearly want to encourage more of that. If it has the reverse effect, and it does pull away, which I don't think we're expecting a positive.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit more.
But
yeah.
that's part of what got it through. It is subject to a yearly review by the executive committee. So it's going to be important that you reach out to constituents and fellow exhibitors in your area, show managers, and encourage participation, especially this first year, because they are going to be looking at the numbers and the data to see, did this work or did it not? Were we correct in passing the recommendation from the committee, or should we not have? So the numbers are going to tell the story. It's going to be critical that the program has a good ramp up initially. Patty,
You have anything to add, Patty?
No, that's excellent.
All right.
No,
Yeah.
that
We're so
covers,
excited.
I think it gives everybody a reference point of where it's landed.
Sure.
You know,
Okay.
so-
And some of this stuff is new to me, so I'm really glad to hear what you have shared with us. Okay, so just expanding on that a little bit, I want to talk about why the need, okay? Why the need and why we need to take the lead on this. As Justin referred, we have had a decrease in opportunities to show the AQHA hunters. I believe I read somewhere where someone told me the stats went from 800 opportunities to qualify to 200. Okay, so the smaller shows don't want the expense of the hunter classes. We get that, okay? We also have had a significant decrease in our hunter numbers. We had 90 in the green working hunter here. Doesn't seem like that long ago, but maybe it was. We had a lot of USEF infused into our program, and those people have disappeared, okay? So we've done a lot of research to find out why they left, how we get them back, all right? One thing that we've realized along the way is that AQHA horses that go into the hunter world, they don't get recognized for what they do. And unlike the reiners who carry the quarter horse right to the reining futurity finals, we need to find those hunters and we need to recognize them, okay? So that's something we'd like to work on. And this year, we did that. There is a young horse competition on the East and West Coast for USEF called the Sally B. Wheeler Young Horse something or other, okay? And AQHA gladly stepped up and provided us with some AQHA gear, and we actually presented to the highest placing quarter horse on the East and West Coast. This is with warm bloods and everything else. We presented an award and a neck ribbon, okay? So up here on the table, we've had some sponsors that sponsored some posters that you can see on the West Coast. The gal was second. She was reserve champion against the warm bloods, and that was an under saddle class, okay? That's huge. And guess what? It's been happening. We just didn't know it, okay? The other gal here was, she showed in one of the model classes, and I believe she was 7th overall. I believe she was 7th overall, and again, that was East Coast warm bloods right in the thick of it. So we hope to reach out into the hunter world and start figuring out a way to recognize these horses. The other thing is, as breeders, because we looked at it from the trainer's aspect, from the owner's aspect, from the breeder's aspect, okay? The breeders, I know myself, I've been raising these hunters for years, and I have very little incentive to raise a sporty quarter horse. That's what I like to call it, okay? Matter of fact, it's kind of discouraged, so I got rid of my sporty mares, and I bought pleasure mares to cross my hunter stud with just to fill the market, say quarter horses can't jump 3.6 or whatever. We're not encouraged to breed those horses, okay? So if we infuse this division, then the breeders will have an incentive to breed a sportier quarter horse, okay? So that's one thing we have to look forward to. And also, the last thing is this is going to be a place to showcase our working hunter under saddle classes, okay? And the hope is that, well, that's getting into my next topic here. So anybody have any questions about the need? Because it's not going to happen without us, okay? You have to take this stuff home. And I do have a lot of handouts that will cover what I'm going to talk about. Anything else you want to add? So now we're going to talk about the working hunter under saddle a little bit. It's supposed to be a new class for 2020, okay? Shown in a traditional hunter frame and suitability for fence classes, okay? I have several judges' cards, not my quarter horse card, but I judge all over everywhere, and I have a passion for the hunters. And today's hunter under saddle horse and our working hunter horse are two different horses. They're not the same horse anymore. And so that's not a bad thing, but let's figure out how not to lose those hunters, okay? Let's try to enrich that division again. We are talking about a class description. Did you say you had one?
Yes.
Okay, could you read that for us, please?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll give them a second to cue it up. So class description, class codes, those are the two things that we need to add these classes to an existing horse show.
So this is the verbiage that went through the show committee, English subcommittee, and all those steps eventually to the executive committee that was approved. So working hunter under saddle, the purpose of the working hunter under saddle is to allow a correct natural appearance, self-carriage, and forward movement in their gaits, allowing correct physical development and to build their strength and coordination correctly for over fences. Working hunter under saddle horses should have a natural appearance and correct uphill balance, fluid forward movement in all gaits that is desirable for working hunters. The working hunter under saddle should be shown with active, working, energetic gaits at the walk, trot, and canter that cover ground. The gaits should be comparable to a horse performing a working hunter course. Excessively slow walk, trot, and or canter should be penalized. With the exception of the eligibility requirements, the same rules shall apply in the working hunter under saddle as apply to the hunter under saddle. Eligibility requirements. For the horse to be eligible to be shown in the working hunter under saddle, the horse must be shown in a minimum of one over fence class in any division at that show. Horses cannot be shown in hunter under saddle and working hunter under saddle at the same show. Show requirement. To offer the working hunter under saddle in each division, you must also offer one of the corresponding over fence classes: hunter hack, echo over fences, working hunter, or jumping. The working hunter under saddle is to be held immediately following the over fence classes. Management has the option to keep or remove jumps from the ring. Category: working hunter under saddle should be added to category 5.
Did you say it was after the over fence class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay, so this is good news for me. I've not heard this yet. I am super excited to hear it, so that's awesome, okay? This is going to kind of change where we're headed with these over fence classes. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much for that. The other thing, a couple more things, is how this relates to a working hunter, typical working hunter show, is that we are hoping to have a division. And I think, I'm not sure if we could step out and say we could already do that, because I don't know that it would affect you guys, but if we have a horse that shows in working hunter, hunter hack, and working hunter under saddle, then that could sort of be a division, and we could actually have an award for the combination of the three. That wouldn't affect you guys, would it?
Show.
Yeah, show can offer anything they want,
Right.
any kind of reward.
Right. So then it'll become more like a real hunter show where you can enter the 3 classes to complete your division, and maybe perhaps down the road we'll have division awards. Again, that's coming back on us because we have to find these people and we have to make this happen. And the other thing, the advantage that it would be, and I don't know if you guys have thought about this or not, but you're going to give the hunters a chance at that all-around award again, because all of a sudden now they can't compete in the flag class. They don't have a chance in the all-around. So now they can actually compete for an all-around award. This should help them, okay? Which is pretty exciting. We're going to talk about the various scenarios for this type of event because there are quite a few and it's a little complicated. Of course, our first would be to be held at an existing quarter horse show. So for instance, Venice, Clay and I have talked about possibly doing a all-English special event the day before Venice, which we haven't acted on this, and I'm not sure it's going to happen this year, but you know, as people are calling in, they can show in this all-English special event before the quarter horse show started. And the other option that is to be held with a quarter horse show is, excuse me, it's cold out, would be a satellite or a remote location. Okay, so like if you're having a roping and it's part of an existing quarter horse show, you can have the roping part at a separate location. Okay, so we question that, and as it turns out, we can do this with the working hunter also. If you have the show committee set up the quarter horse show, and this would not be considered an all English special event. This would just be those classes at a remote location held either the day before or any time between the day before the horse show and the day after the horse show, and within a 50-mile radius. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So that means that you could, if your state affiliate is having a quarter horse show and there happens to be a hunter facility nearby, and you can schedule that horse show and be a part of that other horse show. So that's one way to enrich the hunters. Okay. The other possibility would be holding it in conjunction with a schooling show or a state-sanctioned hunter jumper event. Okay. Honestly, the committee, we feel like this is going to be our best option because the fees are going to be affordable, and we're not going to have to go through the USEF stuff, which I'm going to talk about in detail here shortly. So this would just be a schooling show, which depending on the area, those can be some pretty good sized shows. And I think a lot of our stock are there. Okay, we have to get them back. Okay, so that being said, my train of thought. Okay, so here was and I'm not quite ready to talk about that yet. The last option is holding it at a USEF event. Okay, and at first that seemed like the clear choice. All right, we all were like, oh, we have to do USEF and all that. Well, then as we looked into it farther, the safe sport issue, all the fees that go along with the USEF, make it just hardly affordable to do that, okay, plus all the rules. So we actually reached out to, and I have to credit my research lady, Lynn Long, we reached out to USEF, and we have a lot of particulars on how you would do this, and they actually told us that if we are in a separate arena with a separate entry blank, that we could hold these shows together without the AQHA actually being part of the USEF. So it can happen many different ways, okay? One of the things that has been talked about a lot are opportunity classes. Go to my next page here. So if you're going to organize an all-English special event, then you have however many classes you're going to have that day. If you want to add some opportunity classes, which won't be AQHA approved classes, this is kind of a vision of mine. Okay, I would like to commission all you guys when you go out and about and you're talking about these all English special events, talk about adding like a little Crossrails class. So if mom wants to bring her child along with a pony or a small quarter horse or whatever, they've got a class to show them. Crossrails, okay? Short stirrup class we could add. We could add a baby green under saddle class for green under saddle horses, okay? Just a chance to let AQHA and the hunter world meld together, okay? Let's try to join, all right? One of my favorite classes that I judge in 3 different breeds is called Hunter in Hand. And I needed to mention that today because I'm really passionate about it. And it's on the triangle. Does anybody not know what Hunter in Hand is? I have 3 score sheets from 3 different breeds up here if you want to check out more about the process, but I think it's a great opportunity for us to showcase a young horse without lunging it a lot. It's the proper way that you would show a young horse in hand would be the in-hand class, and also model classes, which would be a confirmation class for the hunter, and I'm really excited about the potential of having that as a opportunity class. So remember, those aren't AQHA classes, but yet they're classes that you could bring a couple more horses, bring the child, bring, you know, and let everybody participate, instead of just having the straight classes that we have now. So talking about applying for the event, did you have anything to add to the opportunity classes?
No, nope, we're good.
So applying for an AQHA event, AQHA has online both a show application and a show manager's guide, okay, because these events will have to be managed by an AQHA manager, which as I understand, the process has become a lot simpler now. We can do it online with a fee and a test.
Either the secretary or the manager has to be
Either one.
AQHA, not both.
Okay.
One or the
One
other.
or the other, all right, and they can be done online now. What's the cost for that?
It's $250. It's an online course. It certifies you for 3 years. So if you go to aqha.com/show managers, anything and everything that you need to put on a horse show is at that link, including links to the course itself, the application to apply for a show, priority date calendars, anything and everything, the guideline book for shows, aqha.com/show managers.
Okay. And it's a real detailed brochure about the management, the show manager's guide. I actually put on a large horse show in Ohio called Fallen Horseman Memorial Horse Show, and I printed my AQHA show manager's guide this year and used it to help me through my horse show. So
Good.
it's really handy.
Good.
And then this is the hot topic here, is the identification and selection of qualified judges, okay? This is a huge topic because, in my opinion, we need to seek out judges who are very knowledgeable of the working hunters to judge these shows, okay? And we can do that. We have those judges available at AQHA. We have specialty judges. I have a list of them. I think there's 24 currently, and we're hoping to boost those numbers by adding more events, because now they'll actually have a reason to have their card. And I just think it's really, really important that we select those knowledgeable judges. And if you have questions about that, there's lots of people you can reach out to get some help with how to identify who those judges are, okay? And some of them can be accredited hunter judges as well, so we'll talk about that a little bit too. Okay, and like Justin referred to, you know, there's rules and regulations for proximity, for location, that type of thing that we'll have to deal with through the affiliates. I already covered the opportunity classes. Oh, and this is encouraging more participation from younger youth, younger horses, breeders, and owners that don't ride over fences, because we're going to give them opportunities, okay? Did you have a question? No. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if you have any questions, just stop me, and then at the end we're going to have a Q&A for these folks here. Okay, so we have to make sure that our participants are members and that the horse is properly transferred into the correct name through the correct procedures, okay? That's going to be one of the things. It's one thing to identify these quarter horses, and it's another thing to make sure they're AQHA transferred into that owner's name and that that owner is a member, okay? We do have some of those transfers and memberships up here. And as we go out and we identify these horses, we have to make sure that they know they have to be a member and the horse has to be in their name. And that can be done here. So it's really important. I think one of the things we did last year was we took a sign-up sheet to some hunter shows and we laid it on a table, said, do you own a quarter horse? You know, are you interested? Sign up here. And we had people that actually signed up for more information so that we can, you know, nurture that a little bit. So, you know, everybody's got their own group, and you all know who your stock horses are, but there's lots of people that we need to try and identify those horses. I think, losing my train of thought, I had so much in my brain that I was wanting to talk about. Anyway, do you have anything to add about that ownership or transfers?
No, you're
okay.
good.
How to become, this is interesting, how to become a special events AQHA hunter judge, okay? And again, we need to let it be known because it's a process and it doesn't happen quickly. I think there's 3 times a year you can apply.
Well, there's deadlines to apply. There's 3 times a year the Judges Committee meets to review applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so then the AQHA judges application is online. I do have some of those printed. All of these forms I have printed. If you guys want to look at them, they're in my book here. And also, it has been determined, if I'm correct, that USEF Big R judges will be grandfathered in with an application process.
Okay.
Big R?
So a Big R judge, they're eligible to go through the application process. So they're applied, they have to do their references. It still has to go through the same process.
Right.
So.
But they won't have to go test, is that right?
Well, they've never had to test before. A large R judge has not had, they have to recertify. When we have our recertification and we bring judges in to recertify when we cover working hunter, yes, they have to come into that or do it online.
Okay.
There is a recertification for sure because there's a lot of the classes that the large R judges, when they become a specialized English judge, they need to know how to judge the pleasure driving. They need to know our scoring system for the equitation on the flat. So there's classes that they won't have experience in that they need to make sure that they're versed in. So, you know, so it's application, references, goes to the Judges Committee. The Judges Committee approves them, goes to the Executive Committee. They come to an orientation, again, because that's different. You've got judges' cards to fill out. The orientation is online.
Okay.
It takes about 30 to 45 minutes. I had one last week, and I had a specialty reining judge from Italy, one from the United States. I had a working hunter judge, specialized judge, and working cow horse judge, specialized.
Good.
So it was good to, you know, get cross-enter or, you know, cross-reference different information. So then they go on the list after that orientation. So it's still, they have to follow the same process, but there's no testing involved to get on the list.
Okay.
If you're a large R.
Okay, so now, real quickly, don't let me forget. I'm going to forget now. There goes again. So my next question is about the little R. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, because I want to get back to this, this is very region specific, okay? Like in the state of Kentucky, you might not need this program, okay? But in the state of Colorado, when you have to drive 8 hours to qualify your hunter, you do need it, okay? So this is all, it's interchangeable moving parts, but depending on where you live and how your event would tie into the hunter world, okay? The little R judges, and the reason I mentioned that is because we've been told by even one of the ladies from Tryon that they normally don't hire big R judges because they're so expensive. So they'll refer to little R judges, okay? So what is the process for a little R judge? Because there are very many qualified little R judges.
So the little R judges do not automatically go on the AQHA judges list. And the big R judges, we do our background checks and we make sure that everything is good there. The little R judges now do not go on the AQHA judges list. And we don't have a test for them. So you have to be a big R judge, even apply to be on the AQHA specialized list.
Okay. Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. So my question to you is, are you going to be able to prepare a test or a seminar or an educational process that will be to the level of some of these little R judges? I mean, some of them are capable of judging here, or
Yeah.
it's trying.
We have working, so we recertified all of our specialized judges online 2 years ago. So, we have access to content, we build tests and rule book tests, and we do all that through AQH University online. So, to get there needs to be a rule change proposal sent to the judges committee at the convention in March for the little R judges to be able to test, and if they pass a certain percentage, then go be considered for the AQHA specialized list.
Okay, good. So that's some new options for us, and that's awesome.
So, but that has to come through the process. That has to come through the judges committee. Staff cannot make those recommendations and make that happen. It has to come from members and go through the appropriate committees.
Okay, and then one other question that I had presented to me about that topic is, if you were a specialized judge, but you gave up your card because there was no work for you, but now you're interested in getting back into it, honestly, not no work, but the cost did not outweigh the benefit on it, so a lot of people drop their specialty cards. Now they're considering getting them back. What's the process for that?
It's an application.
Okay.
The application.
Okay.
For sure.
So they won't have to go through all the rigorous testing and all that.
Well, if they're large R, it'll be the same
This would be
process.
just somebody that was already a specialty judge before. Say Scott Mahalian for one instance.
Got it.
Scott Mahalian from here in Columbus.
I'd have to look at his case.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
Because
have to look at his case.
I think if they're qualified, they've judged some big giant horses, and they're still a little R, that should be maybe a consideration.
Well, and if they were already on the list before, I'd have to look at that, and I'd have to talk to the chair of the judges committee.
All right.
But if they're interested and they were on the list, I would recommend that they send an email to Shelley Spears and myself, and we'll, look at it and research. See
Okay,
what
could
we
you
can do
give
to
me
help them.
Shelley's email address? by any chance?
S. Spears.
sspears@aqha.org.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, folks. Go find those people and get them to sign up, okay? Because
Yeah.
knowledge
Put
is
the
king.
test together.
Okay, to make this work, knowledge. Okay.
Built into the test.
So I had some people call in with questions, and one of the questions is, how do we involve dressage into this process? Okay, because it seems sort of logical that you would have dressage at an all-English special event. Okay, so my question to you guys is, can they hold a dressage event at a AQHA special event, the same location?
So the easiest way to answer that is if you pull up the categories in your rule book. They've got them broken down. It's class types by category. So if you're not familiar with this, category 2, for example, is reining, working cow horse, western riding, ranch riding, and trail. That makes up one category. So if you refer to the rule that passed, the English special events allows classes from 3 categories. Category 4, jumping, working hunter, and hunter hack. Category 5, western pleasure, 2-year-old western pleasure, hunter under saddle, now working hunter under saddle, and pleasure driving. That's category 5. And then also classes from category 7, which encompasses showmanship, horsemanship, hunt seat equitation on the flat, and equitation over fences. So the question, those are the classes within those three categories. The question is, dressage is category 10. So dressage is not part of those three categories. You would have to apply for an English special event and then a dressage special event separately.
But they could be held at the same location on the same day.
Correct.
Potentially.
Correct.
Okay, because that's awesome. We've had a lot of people ask about that. And then also, if we did that, is there a problem with having English and Western courses together showing in the dressage? I mean, can we offer it to both disciplines? These are questions that have been sent to me.
It would have to be English dressage. The English or the Western dressage would become that same category, so that they approve for it. Yeah,
So the
they have to be shown separately.
correct. The English dressage is category 10, and the new class being added, Western dressage, will also be part of category 10. So let's take it, you're going to apply for your English special event. You'll get your three categories, 4, 5, and 7. And then if you wanted to add dressage, you would apply for a dressage special event, category 10. That would encompass English and Western. Both could be offered, but they would be separate classes.
Okay. All right. So we're moving forward on this then. We can try to grab all those people together. And hopefully some of those courses can cross-enter because, you know, it can happen. So that's awesome. Thank you. Okay. How can we help? This is the important part, guys. What we've tried to do is identify regional representatives who can help us with this process, okay? So I have like Paula Prey, who has stepped up and said she would help me. I think Jenny Wellhouse. And I'm not sure, you know, we're looking for people from different regions who, so that myself and Lynn Long and a few other people don't have to do all the work, because after this is over, I might help with some local horse shows, but I'm not gonna, you know, it's like we're running out of energy here. We want you guys to help us. So if you're interested in being a regional contact for us, I'm going to put a sign-up sheet here, and you're more than welcome to put your name, email address, contact information on this sheet, and that way we can identify you and try to bring you into what we're doing, okay, and help us out here. The other thing you can do is go home and identify these horse shows where this is going to work. Okay, that's the big thing. There's places it works, places it doesn't, and it's our job to figure out where it's going to work and how to make it work. Okay, and I'll help any way I can. You know, phone call. So I give you a business card, whatever you need. The other thing is to identify the AQHA courses that are at your local hunter shows. Okay. When we had 90 in the green, those horses are still out there somewhere. They're out there. We have to find them. Okay. And we have to give them a reason to come back. And with my fall enforcement show, next year's our 10th year. The thing that I found that brings people to my horse show, not only good prizes, money. Okay? Money. That's something the hunter shows don't offer. So we have to not only identify the locations, build the show, we have to find sponsors. And we have to add money and prizes. Okay? Get them to come back. If you say, hey, we're going to have a $500 division award for the senior working hunters, wow, where else can you do that? Okay? So money, that's what's going to bring them in. Money and prizes. All right? No problem with that, guys?
What makes it work?
Cash is king, right? And like I said, those sponsors, we need to identify those sponsors and find them, bring them to the table. So at this time, I want to open up the floor for questions, and I will set up a sign-up sheet. I just want to encourage everybody, there's some really good website or Facebook pages out there, but we do have the all-English, AQHA English Special Event page. It's our sounding board. Get your friends to like that page, and you're going to see a lot of stuff on that page. So I'll get a sign-up sheet, and you guys, if you have any questions, we got the people here we need to answer them for us. So, anybody have any questions?